Hi everyone. Today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what our homeschool day looks like. A few of you have had some curiosity in that general direction, so I thought I would just tell you about what we do, and whether or not you decide to do something similar or you think what I do is awful, I'm okay with that. This is what works for us. We've really enjoyed it. It brings a lot of joy to our house, some flexibility, and I've never been a box curriculum person. For me, to have somebody tell me exactly how I'm supposed to do it just will make me go crazy. So there's that. I'm also not a sit at your desk kind of person. I always got yelled at from the teacher from sitting sideways or having my feet off the floor. Even now, I don't. They're in my lap because I don't sit straight forward all the time. I just can't do it. Anyway, so with that introduction, this is kind of what we do. These are what's important to me and my husband. We do use the well-trained mind a little bit as a structure for how we go through things. The well-trained mind suggests going through things 3 times as the kids get older and progress in their thinking. So that was a good fit for us to kind of let them do that. It also means that we've started with world history, I guess, when they were in kindergarten, at least when my oldest was in kindergarten. So my middle child kind of gets a lot of, he's ahead on some things because we've been doing this for a while. So just so you guys know the ages of my kids, right now we have a almost 3rd grader, so he's finishing up 2nd grade. We have he kind of debates with us. I have told him it's kindergarten / 1st grade. He says he's doing 2nd grade work, which is also a little bit true. So I'm really glad that I don't have to check all the boxes and I have that flexibility there. We also have a 2-year-old who is now starting to get frustrated that she can't read yet. So next fall, that will be kind of worked in the mix. I'm already starting to kind of let her get more familiar with her ABCs and all that, all the sounds. So that's some background. First up, grammar. I'm kind of a grammar snob a little bit. Especially with spelling, I really get frustrated when spelling is incorrect. And I loved sentence diagramming, so I'm excited about doing that as the kids get older. We've just started off with very basic sentence diagramming, so subject, predicate, parts of speech, those kinds of things. And for that, we've used the Ordinary Parent's Guide to Reading for kind of learning to read. I didn't really like first language lessons. I really much more enjoy the approach of reading lots of different books that talk about the parts of speech. There's a pretty good series, like this kind of series, the Under, Over, By the Clover, just kind of funny ones about different parts of speech. Mad Libs get a lot of play in our house, so we enjoy doing that as a good reminder. This book that I actually just picked up from the library, I'm loving, and it's called Super Grammar, Illustrating the Point, Learn Grammar with Superheroes. And it does a really good job, I think, of showing what powers the different parts of speech have. It talks about the subject having the power of number, so the singular, plural, invisibility, so if it's a you and it's in a command or a request sentence, as well as a compound. And I think that's really cool. It also talks about them being on teams. To make good sentences, they have to work in a team. And it's just really, the graphics are fun. My kids have really been enjoying it, so I highly recommend this book because, yeah, I think it's doing more in the last few weeks of reading it than I've been able to do with other things all year because it's fun and engaging and we can just review with that. So yeah, we always do something with grammar, whether it's reading through a book or practicing diagramming, Mad Libs, those kinds of things. Every day, trying to do something along those lines. Another thing we also do is the spelling workout. My kids have A and B. So this, I like it because it's just, while we don't do a whole lot of workbooks, I like that there's like 3 or 4 pages for each list of words. They have different activities on it. And the last page is find the spelling and the grammar error in the sentence. So they're normally punctuation, capitalization, or spelling errors, as well as a little tiny, like, write a few sentences assignment. So this has been really fun. It's very cheap. I think it's like $15 or something for a workbook. So I really enjoy that. The other thing, obviously, reading is very important. You guys know that. Otherwise, read is the first word in my booktube channel. So reading's important to me. My kids see me read all the time. I read to them. We do a lot of audiobooks. I ask them a lot of questions. We discuss what I'm reading, what they're reading. And reading is just a natural part of the day. So we don't necessarily have a specific reading curriculum. I have started up a book club party school kind of thing where we'll read a book and then have a party with other friends that are reading the same book and discuss it. That went phenomenally. We did Charlotte's Web was the first one we did, and we had like I think eight or nine kids, and they had some great insights into the text and what they thought the point was, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm excited about continuing on with that. So yeah, mom and kid book club I think is fun, especially when you can get other families involved. The other thing that is important to us is poetry. And so we'll listen to some poetry. We will do tea time where we'll just get out some poetry books and read to each other. And it's just a fun thing that we do. Especially like Shakespeare, we've gotten into watching some Shakespeare and just quoting lines back and forth. Even with other movies, I think it's great. Movies are a great form of media because a lot of times they'll have fun dialogue, and I swear my kids, when they are writing, a lot of times their creative play will come from things that they've seen or quotes that they picked up. So we don't do a lot of screen time, but when we do, we talk about what we're watching as well. Let's see, writing. So writing for me is kind of broken into a couple different aspects of writing. There's the handwriting aspect. So for that, we use the Printing Power with the Handwriting Without Tears. And I don't have all the extra supplement things. We get the workbooks, which I think are, $15 to $20. And probably 3 times a week, they will do a few pages out of here. So that, if they are doing other writing things, I won't make them do their handwriting book too, because I think it can, especially, their little hands get tired. So, like, for instance, my eldest, he'll be 9 in August, he decided to make a manual. Oh, and he always staples books this way. We have a stapler on hand with lots of paper, so my kids are always making books. But he has the guide to video games. Monsters must not gain this guide. They will burn it, to Mom and his brother. So on here, he put in, they've been recently playing Boom Blocks on the Wii. And so here he put, you must beat this guy because he will throw everything next to him. This guy is hard to tell apart from them, but he has one weakness, his red eyes. And then he went through and all the different steps to how to purchase the Minecraft expansions. So he has step 2, click on festive. Step 1, click on store. Step 2, click on festive. Step 3, click on buy. Step 4, click on stop. He just keeps going through all the steps. So for him, he is not one who loves sitting down and writing forever and ever. So I was not going to make him do his handwriting. If he picks up a project of his own, I go with it. And that kind of fulfills the creative writing component. His younger brother, who is going to be 7 this year, is planning on being a fiction writer. He writes so many books all the time. And some of them chapters, some of them not. And my favorite characters of his are Hot Dog and Cookie, and they go on adventures together, and it's just the best thing ever. He's taken them into the library, and the librarians have kind of caught on to their excitement about his characters. So yes, anytime, I don't necessarily use a writing curriculum. I have really appreciated Julie Bogart from Brave Writer talking about writing down whatever your kids are saying that are excited about. So a lot of times they will tell me a good story that they do not have the the skills to write down the whole thing, especially not as fast as they're thinking it. So I will grab paper and write it down for them. Their narrations from history or science, things that they'll pick up, I will ask them and they can tell me and I'll write it down. And that's just as valid. So that's another part of the whole writing process. The third part is copy work, and we do copy work a couple times a week where from the book that we're reading out loud from, I will choose a couple sentences and they'll copy it down as neatly and correctly as they can. So from that, they're getting kind of grammar components as well as sentence structure, what makes a good sentence. I think the more you read good sentences, the more you can create them. So that's another thing we do. Math for us, we use the Singapore standards, and this is, they're both on 2A right now. Oh, they're almost done with it, I think. And they go over, I think right now they're doing multiplication and division. What I like about Singapore is it kind of goes back through and cycles through the different skills. We also do a lot of drills, not in like a horrific way, but a lot of times when we're in the car or at the dinner table, my husband will say, quick, what's 5 times 5? And then, they'll say 25. And what's 25 times 5? Like they just keep going and see how high they can get, or how they have them double the numbers over and over again to see how high they can get. And I think that's really fun. We also are a huge game playing family. So math plays in a lot with scoring. I've played Yahtzee with them. Lost Cities has kind of some components for adding and multiplying and subtracting. There's so many games on that. So math kind of works into that, as well as letting them do everyday problem solving. If we have to measure something, I let them do it. If we have to figure out if we have enough money for something that they want at the store, I let them do it. I think the more they see math in a regular, like this is how we use it skill, the more it makes sense and the more they want to do it. So that's another thing. Science. For science this year, I just wanted to focus on nature stuff because I feel like that was kind of a big gap for me. I grew up more in the city and I didn't really know any of the birds and flowers, and I knew some of them, but I just didn't retain a lot of it. So we've been working on that. So what that encompasses for us is just picking up books from the library, reading through them, going on nature hikes. So like here's the book from the library we're reading right now, Cabinet of Curiosities. They talk about classification and understanding different things, how to preserve them when you're collecting them, and it's just a fun book. Another thing we've been doing lately, we put up a lot more bird feeders this spring, and we've been using our field guides to try and identify the birds. We have several goldfinches that really love this one right by our couch, so we've been really enjoying that. I also found this printable online, and I'm going to try and link it below because I printed it off a while ago, but it's basically pairs of birds. So I have 2 of each of them. Hooded Oriole, this one's California Towie. And what we'll do with this is we'll either play memory, or we can play Go Fish, or we can just look through them. I have them printed off on cardstock. I probably should laminate them, but it was a free printable, and I know they do have bird bingo available online, as well as geology rock on the geology bingo. There's so many nature games online, but there's also several free ones if you look up free printables. So that's another good way. We've gotten used to learning some of the bird names as well. Let's see. Yeah, and just letting them experiment. We have a big tub of random equipment for science experiments. So just letting them every once in a while take that out and look through it and kind of either create something or try and mix something up and see what happens. Obviously, kind of be nearby to make sure that they're not going to explode anything, but again, you control what goes in the bin. So sometimes I even have like toothpicks and marshmallows just to see how high of a structure they can build. I think part of science is just teaching them to not be afraid to try new things and fiddle with what's working and what's not working. History and geography. For me, this is so important because I love both of those, and thankfully my kids do too. They have really got the travel bug already. They're always looking. We have several maps up, and they're always talking about different places they want to go. it doesn't hurt that my family likes traveling a lot, so they'll see different pictures from people's trips. So for history, we use the Story of the World, and that we're on volume 3, although volume 3 for us is going to take probably 2 years because it's a lot denser, and my kids started early, so it's just a bit beyond them. So we've been doing a lot more read alouds with this. We have the audiobook of Story of the World and just listen to different chapters, different parts of it, and then talk about them. Sometimes we'll do activities from there. Sometimes we haven't. We did especially for volume 1 and 2, but this year we just got so overloaded we haven't done as many activities unless the kids see something they really want to do. Another thing that I really, really recommend is this Draw the USA or Draw the Something series. It's by Krisitn Draeger. This is the easiest tutorial on how to make maps that I have seen. It's delightful. It's very simple. She shows you where to start off, how to make the different shapes. And my kids have been able to create from these very realistic looking maps. I plan on getting the whole series at some point. So yeah, we started off with Draw the USA. A couple other things that we constantly do. We have different puzzles, Geo Bingo, Geo puzzles of both the U.S. and the world. We have the President's of the United States puzzle, so they kind of get that practice of looking at that. We have Presidential Rummy Card. This is another printable that we got, and I love it. It's the states, and on it they have population, electoral votes, number of counties, size, and year of statehood. So it's kind of like war with states. So you pick out a card and you decide when it's your turn if you want to compete with population or number of counties. And then your opponent pulls out their card, and whoever has the highest wins, except if it's the year of statehood, the lowest wins. And I think it's just been really fun to use these cards. Sometimes I've just had them sort them in order for number practice, but it's also just a really fun way to get familiar with the states. So that's another thing that we've been doing on a regular basis. Again, I don't do all of this every single day. I pick each subject and pick some activity for that subject for the day. So little bits. I feel like a lot of times homeschoolers or even educators feel like if they screw up one day of a lesson, they didn't teach it correctly. And really honestly, how many of us remember one single day of school specifically? Like, I remember moments, I remember, like words that might have stuck out, but I don't, or funny things that happened, but I don't remember like, oh, I remember on that day we learned what a subject was. It's the constant repetition of it that really ingrains it in us. Also, read alouds. So there's so many different books from different cultures and places around the world. The more you expose your kids to that, the more they will not only get used to the travel bug. No, don't do that. But the more they will be understanding of other people's cultures and what history was and what it looked like for people. I mean, I think even as adults, we understand that. Another thing that's been really important to us, although I've not been doing as well at it as I should, is Spanish. My sister is from Guatemala and is married to a Mexican, and so they speak Spanish at home. My mom's a Spanish teacher, very, very good one, and I really want to work on that more. So we've started kind of reading some Spanish books together and talking about some of the language there. I'm hoping to hit it a lot harder come fall time when I get my brain on a little bit easier. And then the last thing that I think is really important is the arts. So my kids do music lessons, but I've really enjoyed this series. It's we have the Story of the Orchestra, Child's Introduction to Art, and then we also have the poetry and the Child's Introduction to the World as well. This series is very comprehensive of books, but they're very engaging illustrations. They're a good starter if you really don't know what to do at all. For me, a lot of times I will just go to the children's section at the library and pick out an art book that I think looks engaging. We just looked at one we picked out called Look at Art, and it showed you lots of different, like they had an Escher picture in there where it shows like the optical illusions of where does the line stop. They had a different one where there was depending on how you looked at it, there was an older couple or there were a younger couple. And I think it was a really interesting thing to show the kids, like, yeah, art can look like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So a lot of times for art, just pick up something and then look through it and talk about it. Like, what is interesting about that piece of art? Whenever I was docenting at the art museum at a school I went to, they talked about asking questions and not talking about the art first. And I think so many people feel like they should explain the art and the artist and the time period and the technique before they even ask, what do you think this picture is about? And I think you miss a whole big opportunity when you do that. So art does not have to be complicated, even if you don't know anything about making it. You can definitely just talk about it. And having art supplies out all the time is another thing that we really value. So that is kind of what our homeschool looks like. Oh, a couple other little things that we do. The little passports, they have a world one, but we also have the states one. So it's kind of each month they'll send you a different thing with recipes and activities about the different states. So I'm excited about next fall. We're going to be also working in a state a week kind of thing. And I think that'll be really fun to do a recipe from that state as well as a read aloud, like little picture book. And yeah, so those are some other things that we do. Just don't feel like you have to follow what somebody else says if you don't want to. There's so many options out there. So this video is extremely long and I am so sorry. So hopefully you stuck through. If you did stick through the end, thank you. I appreciate it. If you have any questions below about what we do, whether it's games I recommend or books, just ask below in the comments and I will let you know what I think. So I will talk to you all later. Hopefully this will help if you're planning on homeschooling in the fall or if you're just needing a revamp. Talk to you later. Bye.